Good morning, everybody. Shefa Baruch V'Atzlucha. At Nizavim Vayelech, we have two parashat. Atem Nizavim Hayom. You are all standing here today, and the question is, what exactly is going on here? Where are they standing? What's the meaning of the standing? And what's the meaning of Kulchem? You, all of you. And then, Lifnei Hashem Elokechem, you all standing here today in front of God, Rashechem, the heads, the tribes, the elders, the policemen, everybody, Kol Ish Israel, Tapchem, Neshechem, the children, the women, the Gerim. What is all this? We say all Israel, mean all Israel. And what is Nitzavim? Standing. And what are we talking here? Le'ovrecha bevrit Hashem Elokecha. This is another covenant, Le'ovrecha bevrit. But we had last week also covenant. But this was a different covenant. This covenant was a private covenant between an individual to God. This covenant is different. This is covenant of all of us together, aravut, of togetherness, of being involved with each other. Kol Israel arivim ze bazeh. And what is the difference? There is a big difference. First of all, if you are standing alone in front of God, you have a problem, because nobody is clean of sins. But if you stand with the congregation, with Am Israel, everybody is covering the other. This one does this, the other does that, and eventually we all together standing in front of God, which is also the unity that God loves, and also each one of us is covering the other. And what's going on here is that Atem Nitzavim, says Rashi, it was after they heard all the curses in the last parashat, and really terrible curses, unbelievable, and they all got afraid. They were going on, what's going to be? Who can stand? Who can be a part of this and live and survive? How can it be? So he says, look here, you're all standing here today. You are not exactly the greatest tzaddikim. You sinned, and we all know that Am Yisrael sinned in the desert. They did quite a few terrible things, and though they did all those things, they are standing here. He says, Baruch Hashem, you're standing here. So in other words, here, it's everything okay. So from one side, what's going on here? Well, if on one side you tell them, if you don't do this and don't do this, you are going to get punished severely. And then you say, oh, calm down, it's okay. Here, you see, you sinned and you're still standing here. What's going on here? You lose all this, the meaning of what you did last parsha. And the idea is, as we said in the beginning, if you are standing in front of God alone by yourself, yes, that's a terrible situation. You cannot survive this. You cannot stand in Yom Adin, in the judgment day. You cannot. So, be together with all with Am Yisrael. When we are together, then that's the power that is giving you the power to stand in front of God, though you sinned, because you are part of Am Yisrael. And as we said, okay, you know, one of the problems when it comes to Yom Adin judgment, it says, wow, how are we going to stand that we did so many sins? And it's remembering a story of a guy who had a business and he went bankrupt, he lost the money, and he owed a lot of money to people. And they were knocking at his door and phoning him. It got to a point that every ring in the phone, he was jumping from fright. And in the end, he didn't even answer the phone. And then he got a decision, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stay here. This is impossible. I'm going to run away. I'm going to abroad. They won't find me. On the way, he meets a friend. And a friend says, what's happening? You look terrible. And he's telling you the story. What do you think? Where are you running? You think today in this world you can run somewhere? In 2 minutes they'll find you where you are, and you're going to make your situation even worse. Let's see. Come. Let's sit together and see what the problem is. And try and solve it. He says, but come and sit with me together. So we're sitting there. And he told him, okay, let's see what's the balance, what's the problem. And when it started to make order in the things, they saw that it's not good, but there is a way to get out of it. He says, let me handle it. I'm going to phone all the people you owe money, and I'm going to talk with them. So he phoned them and says, look, this Yankale is in big problems. Right now is impossible. He cannot pay the money he owes you. But giving a period of time, and let's give him payments, small payments, and maybe even if you can, you know, let's say he owes you $100,000. Let's make it 70,000, 50,000. At least you get something, because otherwise you're going to get nothing, because he hasn't got the money. That's the only way. And there are people listen and says, you know what? Better off, he's in problem. Okay, we'll help you. And also he's showing he wants to pay, but he hasn't got the money. So people cut off the debt, and they were willing to get it in small payment, in a lot of payments and small payments. And Baruch Hashem, everything was okay. The same thing is with us. When you're looking at the things, at the whole mess you have, all the things you did, it's terrible. But when you start all arranging things, you see, and look also for the mitzvahs, because they say, Afilu Posh'ei Israel, even the villain of Am Israel, the Posh'im of Am Israel, they are full with mitzvahs. Each one of us is also doing mitzvahs. It's not only sins we do, Baruch Hashem. So let's look at the whole picture. And when we look at the whole picture and start organizing it, and telling God, okay, I know, I owe you a lot. I sinned, but let me pay in payment. Let me do it slowly but surely. And God is going to tell you, okay. It's like for example, a house that is full with dirt. Full with dirt. Nobody cleaned it for years. So now, if you want to go into the house, you need to clean. How can I clean the house? So a guy comes and at least clean the entrance, that you can go in the house. And then, slowly but surely, you can clean a little more. And that's what God is saying us. Chodesh Elul is Chodesh HaSlicha v'Rachamim. Okay, you have a problem. You sin. Your house is full with sin, full with dirt. So, how can I do it? So, how can I do it? Clean the entrance. Clean at least something. Fix something. Show God that you are going in the right way and you're willing to pay. And list, what's a payment? A good deed. A good deed against the bad things you did. Do good deeds. Okay, what can I do? Even something small, whatever is, only clean a little so you can go in. When you're in already, so there are two options. First of all, you are in. Then, now you can clean a little more. It says, like God says, Pitchuli petach kechudo shel machat, ve'eftach lachem petach kepitcho shel am. You open me a needle hole, and I will open your whole thing. A whole hole, everything. But this has to go in, through, not say, I'm going to do this and not doing it. You have to do what you are deciding to do. You have to do it to the end. But nothing big. Even a small thing. But when you do this, says God, you're already inside. You're in the year. You got in the entrance of the year. You're in. And now when you're in, okay, let's see what we're going to do on. What is else to do? What is a good thing? What is a good deed? What is a small thing? For example, you go out of the toilet, say the bracha with a kavanah. How many times we say bracha without a kavanah? So, okay, I cannot do all the brachas with kavanah. But at least a few, choose 1, 2, 3 that you can do with kavanah. She'akol. Baruch ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. Do you think about what you say? Or you say, she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. So think. Now each one of us can get his own thing. But take it on you. Take at least something. Clean the entrance so you can go, at least you can go in. And the thing is, when you start organizing things and look at the whole picture, you're also coming down. Organizing is the first thing. It's like years ago we had to move from a warehouse that was a flood and a lot of problems, and we thought that we lost almost everything, and we transferred whatever we could to a new warehouse. And then when you look at this, this whole big mess standing in front of us, it was really terrible. Terrible, terrible to see it. And what do? First of all, you want to, let's slowly start organizing things. So slowly we start putting this here, and making it lie down, every part in a different place. And you know what we discovered? That there's a lot to save. And not only this, we discovered things that we thought that we already forgot about them. In other words, when we organize things, everything looks better. Especially when we all know that we also have good things. Our main problem today is we are influenced from what's happening around us. And that's one of the worst things that we can... that we have to show God that we are not getting used to things. So, there was this story with Rabbi Aryeh Levin. I think who brought this story? The story was one of them. Rabbi Israel Lamberger brings a story of Rabbi Aryeh Levin. Rabbi Aryeh Levin this was a great tzaddik. When he was young, learning in a yeshiva, in those days, you didn't have dormitory or a dining room. They were moving from Balabatim, from a house to another house. Like they ate in that house, and they slept at the other house, and every day they had to look for a place where they can eat and where they can sleep. And if they didn't find a place to sleep, they would sleep in the Beis HaMikdash, on a bench or on the floor. It wasn't like today that all the yeshivas, they have dining rooms, they have a kitchen, they have dormitories when you can sleep. That was not the case. One day, sitting there, Rabbi Aryeh Levin was as a young fellow, sitting at the house and eating, and the fellow liked him, so he's telling me, you know what? I've got a small room, the end of the house. You can stay there as long as you want, and eating here, no problem. Wow, we thought, geez, this is Mashiach Zeit, and why? What a surprise! This is Gan Eden, heaven on earth. He quickly brought his small thing that he had, his packages, and he was starting living there. It was really very comfortable, and the food was good. But there was one problem. The couple, they were rowing all the time. There was no shalom bayit there. Rowing and shouting and arguing, and really it wasn't nice to be there. But, you know, he's got a free place to sleep, good food to eat, and it helps him to learn. This way he can learn, sit and learn day and night. And what should he do? So he stayed. And one day he says, that's it, he couldn't stand it anymore, all those shouting and the rows that they had there. And he is packing his things. The balabait, the man sees him packing the things. He says, what's going on here? Why are you packing the things? Well, you're moving to a different yeshiva? You're going back home? He says, no. He says, so why are you leaving? He says, I tell you the truth, I don't want to hurt you or whatever, but you know, I'm hearing the shouting and the rowing you have with your wife all the time, and you know, it's disturbing me. I cannot stay like this. He says, I want to say, well, 1 minute. You are already staying here for quite a long time. What has changed? What? You don't hear it anymore? He says, well, doesn't disturb you anymore? Well, what's the problem? Well, we are here for quite a few months. You know what the answer is? He says, it's exactly the point. It doesn't disturb me anymore. Wow. When we get used to things, not good things, sins, or behavior, and we are starting to get used to it, that's the time when you have to wake up and fight. Atem Nizavim, we have to stand up and understand, especially now, Chodesh Elul, Chodesh Hashanah, we cannot just sit down. We look around. Things that years ago were terrible, unacceptable, today, they're normal. Everybody accepts it. Nevertheless, they fight against the ultra-Orthodox, against the Haredim, but to be a gay is okay. 1 minute, I want to understand. If you are tolerant to all the minority, so you are tolerant to gays and lesbian and all those things, the parades they're doing, do you accept this? But to accept the Haredim that go in the way of the Torah, you don't accept. What's going on here? Did we lose our mind? What's going on? No, pictures. That I always read, there was this letter, I always used to read, I haven't got it here, that was written in Tel Aviv, I think, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 60 years ago. And it was talking about that we are asking the girls and the men not to walk around the streets of Tel Aviv with bathing suits. This is not modest. It's not the sea. If you want to go on the sea you can go with a bathing suit, but not in the street of Tel Aviv. And they were talking about the way you walking around the street, that is not nice. And if you show the letter to somebody, he will be sure that one of the rabbis of Tel Aviv wrote this. No. You know who wrote this? Dizengoff, the mayor of Tel Aviv. The Moatzah, the area of Tel Aviv. They wrote this letter years ago. They realized, understood that there is a way to dress. You don't dress half naked in the middle of the street. You want to go on the beach, then you can do whatever you want to. Also not whatever you want to. Are we losing? Like this week I was talking about a sample about modesty. The Queen Elizabeth. If you look at the picture of Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth, you see her dressed like this, clothes like this, also a kisui rosh is called, a hat on the head. You can never find, look, you will never find Queen Elizabeth with a dress that shows flesh. Nothing. Not only her. The whole thing, the whole monarchy. They have laws. They have a code of dressing. And there's, I don't want to go into it, but it's unbelievable. If we will take this picture and mark and show to people in the street, not knowing Elizabeth, the Queen of England, and not writing anything, they will be sure that we're talking about of one of the big Rebbetzins of the Haredi. But it's not a Rebbetzin. It's the Queen Elizabeth that is teaching us that modesty and covering yourself is monarchy. It's not humiliation. On the contrary, to walk in the streets dressed properly as we should dress, like the children of Abraham, that's monarchy. We are the children of God. And a woman in Israel is called Bat Melech, a princess, the daughter of a king. And how should the daughter of a king dress? Modesty, in a nice way, not showing off all her flesh and all her body. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. On the contrary, it's something to be proud of. But that's the point. We're getting used to things, as Rabbi Levin says. I cannot stare because, yes, that's the problem. I'm getting used to it. And I cannot get used to something like this, something that is wrong. So we all will stand up. Atem Nizavim Vayelech, stand up and start doing those small things that are going to change the picture. Clean the entrance of the house and understand and realize, don't be influenced from what's happening around us. We are going in the way of the Torah. We try to do whatever we can in going in the right way. All the best and have a nice week.